Hello everybody, and welcome to Gingereno's Let's Play of Pillars of Eternity. I'm your host Eric, otherwise known as Gingereno. I am the host of the World of Eora podcast, which is a lore podcast for the Pillars of Eternity games, as well as Obsidian Entertainment's upcoming game, Avowed. For those who found their way here, sorry about that, wondering why Pillars of Eternity and Avowed are smushed together, it's because they share the same fantasy world of Eora. And so if you've been on the Avowed subreddit, you might have seen some of my lore posts on there, or if you've listened to the podcast at all, I've talked at length about the fact that Pillars of Eternity and Avowed are in the same world. And so the purpose of this Let's Play, this being episode 2, is it's primarily for those who are interested in learning about the world of Eora and seeing the game from getting some first-hand, or I guess second-hand experience of the game. But this CRPG style of game isn't really your thing. It's not something that you're into. You know, you're looking forward to the first-person aspect of Avowed, but you're not really into this kind of isometric view RPG, and that's totally fine. I actually didn't really enjoy these style of games for the longest time myself, so I totally get what that's from. So this Let's Play is primarily for those people who are wanting to see what the world is like in the actual game, but playing the game is not something they're actually interested in. But that said, if you are a Pillars of Eternity nerd and you just want to go through some old videos, you want to see the Let's Play of it, this is also for you. I think both people can enjoy this, but just so you know what this is primarily for. This being episode 2, we're going to load up my file of Eric here, which is a fantasy way to say Eric, I suppose. These are all my old files. Alright, let's see. The last one I had was right here. Okay, so here we are. We last left off. We started the game off. We made our character. We got introduced to the basic movements of the game and all that. And then a Biowack, which is a spirit wind that can rip the soul from your body, came through and destroyed the encampment that we were at after we got attacked by some local Glanfathans. Me and my two companions here, Hayden and Kalisha, we escaped into some local ruins. Now, something interesting you should know is that going into local Glanfathan ruins is considered illegal in this world. And so it's not okay that we're in here. If we get caught by the Glanfathans, we'll be in a lot of trouble. But it's the only place that we could go for safety. One thing I'm wanting to do, actually, at the start of each episode is I'm going to go into the journal here, which I can just type J, and I'm going to take a look at the cyclopedia. And if there's anything that we've encountered, whether it's a bestiary or something like that, I figure it's a good place to stop and take a look at some of the things here. So I might read something out of one of these pieces of lore, and we'll just start off an episode like that, learning about something new. In the last episode, we saw Pillars of Adra, but we didn't really discuss what it was. And so I'm actually going to read just this piece of lore for you, and then we're going to get into the game. So Adra, which is that kind of jade-like substance that you might see sticking out of the ground or as the logo for this game, is a shell-like organic material sought by after artisans because it's easy to shape, and by animancers because of its unique ability to draw in, hold, and channel souls. So Adra serves two functions. It's super pretty, and so artisans love it for that. But also animancers, which are like soul scientists, to really brush over that quickly, use it because it can draw in, hold, and channel souls. And so you'll see Adra quite often in this game. It's a very important aspect to this game. Like, this tiny little blurb here does not do justice to how important it is in the lore of this world. But yeah, so now let's get back into the game. All right. I am going to go left.
Someone else has been here. We should move.
All right. Holding the tab key, I can see what are available. Let's go check this out. Nice. I got some camping supplies. That way, look, you've discovered the camping supplies. I just told us that. That means, well, I can camp and I can heal. Which, I do have an injury. I have a strange illness. Not really sure what that is. Yes. So I could camp and get rid of that strange illness, which is giving me -3 concentration and a -3 on fortitude. The concentration is for magic, and the fortitude is for, well, if someone tries to poison me, for example. And now we're just going to go exploring. I'm not going to explore the entirety of this dungeon, which is called Cilant Lis. I am only going to explore part of it, because if anyone does get interested enough in this game that they do want to play, I don't want to take away that experience.
The ruin of Cilant Lis was a daunting dungeon to design, but also very gratifying, as this was our chance to set the bar for our dungeons throughout the game. This was also one of the later dungeons designed during development. Oftentimes the beginning of the game is of the last content you end up producing. This is to ensure all the systems needed to make the experience fully fleshed out are implemented and functional so they can be taught to the player properly during this first moments of gameplay. Thus, by the time this dungeon was designed, we had learned many valuable lessons about the ways we could push the layout and flow of a dungeon, as well as utilize all systems in the game that at this point had been fully fleshed out. We also felt in many RPGs the starter dungeon often felt like a bland guided experience intended on cramming tutorials down the player's throat. We certainly didn't want Cilant Lis to repeat such a formula. We didn't want the player to be completely unfamiliar with the game's core mechanics either. That being said, we opted to have a very open-ended experience for the player. Each route the player takes in the dungeon will introduce them to yet another mechanic or feature in this game, whether it be detecting traps, scouting, or the use of scripted interactions, but neither is dependent on the other. The player has a choice here to choose their playstyle and be rewarded for it. The reward will then reinforce the value of this mechanic, while simultaneously teaching the player the role it plays in Pillars of Eternity.
Awesome. So I forgot to mention that there. I do have the developer commentary turned on. So as we play this game, if any of the developers from Obsidian place commentary in there, we get to hear it. If you don't feel like listening to all of that, just on the little thing at the bottom of your screen where you can skip ahead or you can scroll ahead in the video, just wait until you see that little icon at the top right is gone. All right.
Those tiles look suspicious. Let's be careful.
Oh, these tiles look suspicious. Hayden, go check it out. All right, so he didn't have a good time with that. All right, these are Ingwithan symbols, and they are obviously traps. Now,
they'll never know I'm here.
Look at that. If I have a high enough perception, there we are, I will notice a trap. If you have a really high perception, you'll notice it from further away. If you have a low enough perception, you got to get pretty close. So when I see a hidden object like a trap, the game will auto-pause. If I unpause it, they'll continue on their path, right? So like if I put this over here and we auto-paused and I unpaused it, they would walk right through the trap. So when the game pauses, you got to make sure you take your time to see what it is they've spotted.
Something ahead.
Now, this is where you can, if you have the skills available, disarm the trap.
Something.
Boom. And then you get experience for that. You'll notice if you play the game, you don't get experience for killing enemies. So if you want to avoid combat, but you're worried that you're not going to get experience points, you actually don't have to worry about it. But you do get experience points for doing things like disarming traps. Okay, so these are all trapped, so this is going to get annoying in terms of auto-pausing. So here's what you can do. You go to the settings menu, click on auto-pause, and then I can uncheck this, right? Save changes, and now
something.
I paused it there myself because I realized I want to get everyone over here. I just want Hayden to see this stuff. So let's disarm all the traps. And there we have disarmed all the traps. And so I can now walk across this safely. I am kind of ripping you off a little bit of something that you can do here.
Pretty sure I saw it on one of the tiles back there.
That's all right. A symbol of patterned circle is inscribed on this pillar. An unlit brazier... An unlit brazier sits at its base and could be lit if you had the means. If I have a torch, which I do, I can light the brazier. Oh man, I can't even say it properly now. But I'm a fire god-like, so I can just use my fiery hair. Flames kindle swiftly in the brazier, winding their way upwards. Oh man, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to get better. I apologize. Not professional. Boom. So I think what that might have done, and I have done something to this puzzle over here. I don't know. If you play it yourself, you can figure it out. This mural must be ancient, yet the colors are still bright and vivid. It shows a procession of Ingwithin from all the Kith races, Amawa, Elf, Orlan, Dwarf, and Human. They walk among the pillars similar to the ones that span this chamber, each one topped with a flame. The Ingwithins, I was just reading down here, the Ingwithins are an ancient race. I am currently in Ingwithin ruins, and whenever you're in ruins, they're probably going to be Ingwithin. They're an ancient society that are no longer around, and yet they were compromised of all the normal Kith races that we see today. But notably, did not include the godlikes. At least that's what it doesn't say there. Ooh, I gotta turn that auto pause on for traps again. Okay, enemy spotted. What do we got? A lesser black ooze. Delightful. I'm just gonna go ahead and attack them. I turned the volume down because I recognized in the first episode that the volume of the game did not match my voice. So hopefully this one's better. I will learn as I go. I apologize for that. This poor guy. Blech. There we go. Okay. So as... Is it down here? Gain 30 experience. As I discover new... See right here. As I discover new animals or new bestiary entries, I gain experience points for how many that I see. So now this entry is in my cyclopedia under bestiary. So you can read about an ooze right here. You also, the more you interact with them, the more you learn about them. If you're getting into higher tier difficulties, this kind of stuff becomes very important. You'll notice at storytime mode, I can pretty much just walk up and destroy these lesser black oozes without much effort. And then there's some lore here that discusses what they are, which, hey, maybe we'll go over later. But I don't want to bog up too much of this with just reading. Cool. Oop. Dead person over here with a poleaxe.
As you wish.
As you wish.
What's that muck on the wall?
I don't know. Let's look at it. A viscous slick of something dark. A viscous? Yes. A vicious slick of something dark and tar-like runs down this wall. The shapes and bulges in the ooze suggest that something lies beneath it, but you can't tell what. So I could use my water skin to clear this ooze off, or I could leave it. But then I wouldn't have water for my water skin. But I am going to do it. You rinse the ooze away, revealing an intricate reveal of a man's face. The sunburst surrounding it has chipped away in places, but the details of his head, from the tight curls of hair to the ridges of his pointed ears, still showcase remarkable craftsmanship. One eye socket is empty. A gem fills the other. I have lost the item full water skin. I'm suspecting that I need a gem to go in the other eye socket, which I currently don't have. So, if I don't find it, I'm not going to figure out what that's for. Cool. All right. So I'm still trying to get out of here. I got some experience by finding more bestiary things over there. It never hurts to explore.
Fresh air in here. I think we found an exit. Sounds like the storm path, too.
The dialogue does not match the script. That's all right. Boom. Auto-paused. A spear spiderling is nearby. All right. So... here's what I'm going to do. They're not getting spotted. Oh, apparently they are getting spotted. Oh, I wasn't sneaking, that's why. If I put this person on this side and this person right here, and then I get them to fight, I think this person will be flanked. Nah, they're not flanked. Cool. No treasure.
Of course.
More spiders. Okay, let's sneak this time. Okay, so let's scout this area out. Let's see what we got here. Okay, just those two. I want you to go beat this guy up. You go knock down this big spider. You sneak around to this side. So now this spider should be flanked, so let's get these two to just attack it. It wouldn't have mattered because it was one hit anyways. This is how easy this game is on storytime mode. And so I'm going to get to a big boss at one point and just be completely underestimating how difficult the boss will be. Bats as large as chickens are strung up in the web. Oh, wow. Specifically chickens. Chicken bats. Common beast in Eora, I'm sure. What's this? Bloodstone. Traditionally a dark stone, often in a deep green, but the presence of pockets of iron or red jasper resembling blood spatter give the stone its name as well as its value. All right. So this is how this is going to work for the Let's Play, because again, I want to leave a lot of space open for those who want to play the game and explore things. There's probably that gem that goes in the eye socket of that engraving on the wall we saw. It's probably over here somewhere. But I'm going to leave it for you guys to explore, because this is, again, more about the exposition of the world and not me showing you a guide of how to do everything 100%. All right, we're out. We made it. Guys, we're good. We can, we escaped the Buick, and we made it outside, so we're not trespassing anymore. Excellent. Let's go. Four figures stand before an otherworldly apparatus, an ancient structure of chiseled adra and metallic veins, ominous and looming like a silent observer. Standing motionless in their midst is what appears to be a human body, colorless as stone or ash. The other figures gaze upon it with what might be contemplation. From your vantage point, you are well obscured from their view. The figure closest to the machine stands out among them. A thick gray beard frames a face otherwise hidden beneath a metallic mask. His faded robes are embroidered with a runic language unlike anything you've ever seen, and he wears a strange black headdress with two protrusions that jut out like the wings of some malevolent creature. You can see those protrusions in his portrait.
Oathbinder, bear witness, and see this man has kept his word true to his last breath, full to his blood's last drop. Guide his soul, queen that was, and regard it among your favored. Let his life by the key be his confession. Let his death by the key be his absolution. May he walk the world ever free of the crushing weight of the book.
A couple pieces of lore before we move on without spoiling things too much. People that are very knowledgeable in religion will know that Oathbinder, as well as the queen that was, would refer to Woedica. So if my character knew a lot about religion, he would be cued off that there's something going on here with Woedica. But there's some other stuff here that doesn't yet sound familiar.
Your brother has done his part, and you have seen the power of his contribution. I will accept no further hesitation from the rest of you. In the sight of the queen that was, will you fulfill the oath? Will you take your place beside your brother in the endless esteem of her memory that is without flaw? Step forth, and be assured of the great worth of your life's course.
And I guess for those who don't know who Woedica is, one of the 11 gods of the world. Whoa. For an instant, the apparatus goes quiet, and the air is still. Then, all at once, it erupts with a concussive surge. Light floods your vision, and you are knocked to the ground. Your head snaps back as you land, and pain wells into the back of your skull, washing your last thoughts away into the black, unconscious void. You open your eyes to a different place, another time. You stand in a circular room, grand and domed, its walls lined with adra and trimmed with copper. The style is ancient, but the chamber is unweathered. At the far end, a great pillar of adra pierces the floor from below. Its shimmering texture gives the illusion of boundless depth. Encircling the pillar is an apparatus, much like the one you have just seen, but immense and multifaceted and intertwined. Your thoughts are yours and not yours, and they seem to exist before you think them, and they are all questions. Pressing questions, troubling questions, questions that must be answered, or At the base of the pillar now, you see a man with a thick gray beard and ceremonial robe crowned with a strange ornamental headdress. You know this man. You are walking towards him now at a pace that is hurried, while trying not to appear so. You have something you want to ask him, one question above all, and the question spins madly in your mind. You awaken to find your malaise is broken, only to be replaced with something far more concerning. Faint whispers are audible at the edge of your hearing. I think you can hear it in the game if you listen carefully. Like a ringing in your ears that does not subside. Movement flits through your periphery, but when you turn to look, you can see no sign of whatever it was. You find your gaze regularly darting this way and that in an involuntary paranoid tick. If this is a sickness, it may be dangerous to go without treatment for long. I'm fatigued. I'll tell you what that means later. The figures at the machine stand frozen in place, flesh and blood replaced by cinders and ash. The man who led them is nowhere to be seen. Hayden and Kalisha lie bloody on the uneven cobbles, their bodies twisted unnaturally in death. You are alone and far from help. Gilded Vale may be your best hope of receiving treatment before things get worse. Boom, I leveled up. Sweet, we can go over that. Unsweet is, my companions are no longer alive. But I got some experience for not dying, I guess. Well, you know, this is a game, so I will loot the corpses.
I'm no pack mule.
Let's
offload this junk.
So I should probably put all of this. Oh my goodness. Alright, so I'm in my inventory. I just should have put all this stuff in my stash rather than my personal inventory. I have some stuff here that I can apply, though. I got a ring here, Gon's Pledge, which it gives me the ability to shield the wearer, that's me, from the myriad of perils that plague the world of Eora. An aspect of the god Aethys, Gon, represents the harvest of an old age. What this ring does is it grants me Gon's Pledge, which, if I remember, I can use 2 times per rest, and it gives me plus 15 endurance, so it heals me a little bit. Also, I have a little pig that I can pet. I guess this came with the game in some way. So you have pets that follow you around. There's my little piggy. A little spectral pig. Okay, so I'm liking the light armor thing. I wonder if I have any better armor that I would like to use. I am planning on being a little bit involved, like at the forefront so maybe I will use scale armor. Medium. The padded armor is a little faster, so that my recovery speed is not as penalizing as medium armor, but obviously medium armor will be stronger. So I'm going to put that in there for now. As for weapons, well, I appear to have lost my mace. I'm going to put my mace back in there. Or no, I was using a flail. Oh well, whatever. Okay, let's go, little piggy. Well, that's creepy.
The idea of the scene came out of necessity. Initially, this was all supposed to happen somewhere inside the ruin. However, it clashed with our non-linear philosophies. In order to have the information communicated to the player about Theos and the Soul Machine, it needed to be staged just right and go off without a hitch. By placing it in the ruin itself, it meant some of the non-linearity would need to be sacrificed in order to create a hard gate for the player. So we as designers could make sure we knew the exact moment this event would be triggered. At Obsidian, we often have quests and scenarios that branch in a myriad of ways. Each of these branches are conditioned by what we call gates. These gates keep the game responding to the player by closing off paths and opening new ones based off actions they perform. A piece of dialogue, for instance, might be gated by a certain amount of disposition. This helps reinforce the suspension of disbelief for the player because to them, the world is responding according to their actions in a real way. A hard gate, however, implies a more rigid gate, one that is meant to funnel the player to a singular point by making sure the gate is only open by a singular action. In this instance, a hard gate was needed so we could know the exact position of the player as well as make sure they were not in combat or doing some other action simultaneously. This is often achieved by level transitions. Since we know the player cannot travel while in combat, we don't need to worry about that. In one scene results in the visuals of the whole level being curtailed for this one pivotal moment.
Cool. There's some more developer commentary for you. So, if I loot the bodies of those people that were standing here, I get vessel flesh, which, if I go take a look at in my inventory, is reeking flesh once held a bound soul. With its energy fading, the flesh enters a rapid decay. So I guess vessel is also a type of beast that you can run to. Cool. Pilgrim's Crown. Just me and my pig. Alright, so I believe where I'm trying to go to, let's stick to the quests here. White March is the DLC, and there are going to be side quests that I can go on. I'm not going to be doing many side quests in this, because, again, this is an expositional Let's Play. I'm going to mostly be sticking to the main quest. Sometimes I have to do this, and if it's convenient, I'll do it. I'm not going to actively avoid it. But right now, I have these two, versus these are completed quests. I have Visions and Whispers, so I need to seek help for my condition, and I'm going to need to journey to Gilded Vale. So, going back to the map. Oh yeah, I have to click this. Gilded Vale's over here. I have to go through Valewood to get there. So, let's go to Valewood. 6 hours to complete the journey. Let's go.
Let's set our spoils down a while.
I'm not doing too well. Not doing too hot. Alright, let's go chill amongst the trees for a little bit here. Oh, this poor dude. Yeah, look at that. Camping supplies and some leather armor. Alright, so I am fatigued majorly, which hurts my accuracy and my endurance. Endurance is basically... So this green bar is health, but in my portrait, when I have color, that's my endurance. So as I'm in combat, if my endurance lowers down, I become useless in combat. But if my health goes all the way down, I can die. So that's how that works. We're going to do two things. We're going to rest right away, but first we're going to level up. Welcome to the level up screen for Pillars of Eternity. This is where you can increase your skills. These are not skills, these are not like active skills, these are more passive skills, but they do come into play throughout the game. Obviously, since this is expositional Let's Play, I'm going to be going into lore quite a bit, which represents my accumulated miscellaneous knowledge and trivia, often of occult or esoteric topics. Outside of conversation, lore is used to activate scrolls, which is magic spells that I don't have access to as a normal magic user. Like, I could access a wizard spell through a scroll. Yeah, as well, they open up dialogue options. Athletics, like all of these are pretty much as you see. Stealth is how sneaky you are. Athletics is going to be how much endurance you have. As well, it affects how much you can self-heal. Everyone gets one self-heal called Second Wind, which boosts your endurance a little bit in combat. The higher this rank, the more endurance you will regain when you use the Second Wind ability. Mechanics, disarms traps and stuff like that, and survival can be used for a number of things. When you're resting, you can gain these benefits, as well as some other stuff in conversations. Now, sorry about that. I'm going to mostly be digging into lore, because I am a chanter, and I would know a lot about lore. Yeah, let's do that. Next, I get to pick an invocation. So this is the spells that I actually cast as a chanter. And I like to pick the things that are the most metal. So the thrice she was wronged and thrice justly avenged. I'm kind of stuck between not filled by the axe nor broken by the storm, or if their bones slept still under that hill, none can say. And I'm going to go with this one. This sounds metal. Summons 3 skeletons to fight for the party. Heck yes. That's right. Necromancy. Well, you know, something close to necromancy. There isn't necromancy proper in this game. Talents. So these are kind of like other abilities that I get that can be passive. I can choose so this is unique to my class, and then every other kind of character has access to these ones. I'm going to try to stick with the class ones. In one of the updates for Pillars of Eternity, they introduced their version of multi-classing. In Pillars of Eternity 2, you can multi-class normally, like you can mix classes. In this one, you can have one class, which is my Chanter class, and then if I want, I can pick some of these other abilities from other classes. So Acolyte's Radiance is something that you normally get as a priest. The sneak attack is something you normally get as a rogue. So this is the closest you can have to multitasking in this game. Ancient Memory, however, is something that comes with a Chanter normally, and I'm going to be using it. I'm going to be picking this. It invokes Primal Energy, causing allies within range to benefit from constant endurance regeneration while the Chanter is chanting. So I will constantly be giving people an increase in their endurance if they're within range of me. That range being 5.44 meters. There you go. So yeah, I'm going to pick that. And that's me leveling up. Alright. Now I am fatigued, so we are going to rest. I don't have a high enough survival to really choose anything else or do anything else, so we're just going to rest as it is. There you go. Alright, little celestial pig, let's go. We need to get to Gilded Vale.
The Valewood is the first wilderness the player is introduced to in the game. Like any Infinity Engine wilderness, these areas are rife with dangers, treasures tucked away in nooks and crannies, as well as your fair share of characters with tasks or quests of their own. A lot of what we wanted to do with this wilderness was lead the player towards the Gilded Vale, using the characters they meet along the way. By giving the player the option to get involved with either the bandit camp or Naunton down near the south end of the map, it gives the player the impetus to explore the Gilded Vale once they arrive, now that they have acquired a few tasks to investigate. We also wanted to, again, reinforce the non-linearity of the game by putting those encounters off the beaten path, more or less. That way, if the player wanted to beeline straight for the Gilded Vale and happened to miss these NPCs, they could get leads about them in town and come back to the wilderness later.
Alright. Which way do I go? I'm just gonna go left every time. What's that? There is a person here. I cannot investigate them. However, I can take this. River Reed. Shattered pieces of a crate are strewn across the dirt, along with a few muddy vegetables. World building. Okay, going left. The grass is still flattened behind the wagon wheels. Barrels of cabbages, potatoes, and squash have been overturned and abandoned. Let's see what they got. I have a scroll of Tanglefoot. Rapidly grows a patch of twisted vines that surrounds and tangles anyone unlucky enough to get caught inside. Nice. And this is all the gamey stuff there. More camping supplies and some silver. Nice. Naunton.
Hello.
This man appears to be hurriedly dismantling his camp in quick, jerky movements. He looks up at you as you approach, his expression tense and drawn. Greetings, he says, a little breathless. On your way south, is it? He wipes his brow, turning to face you. The sooner you're clear of the woods, the better, I think. Since I am... Let's see, what am I going to pick? I like to look at what these dispositions are and try to pick one of them. I'm going to go... Our caravan was attacked. I've been trying to get to Gilded Vale. Hard luck. Sorry to hear it. You should be fine from here. There's no missing the Vale if you keep to the road, and you haven't far to walk. But you'll want to keep clear of this place after that. We were just attacked north of here, me and my friend. We came out here to hunt some deer. Came on a bear instead. Great monstrous thing. And Pearly, he didn't make it. He shakes his head. I don't know what I'll tell his wife. In any case, this forest's already cost me a friend, and I'm heading home before it takes anything else. Where did you find this bear? In a cave, always up that way. He points to the northwest. I wouldn't seek it out if I were you. It was a great brute of a beast, and I would hate to hear what it took and would hate to hear that it took another life. In any case, this forest already cost me a friend, and I'm heading home before it takes anything else. All right, farewell. Voice acting is fun, yet awkward. Alright, I'm at the edge of the map. I will let you guys explore the rest. Unless I have to return here for a quest. On to Gilded Vale. It will take me 8 hours. Man, he said it was so close. Adnam added to the quest for the Gilded Vale. I have reached the Valewood. That was last. I have finally reached Gilded Vale. It's not quite what I expected. One fun thing about this, if you go to your journal, if you go to your biography, this game keeps track of the choices you make and writes it out in kind of a story-ish fashion here.
You must be one of the new settlers. Welcome to Gilded Vale. You'll be pleased to know that we've had some recent vacancies here.
I feel at home already.
Of course, we'll need to make some inquiries first. The inestimable Lord Radric VII has taken great pains to insulate our town from Widewind's legacy. Have you ever sired a Hollowborn child?
No.
Are you absolutely certain? Lord Raderick has made it his first priority to eliminate this scourge from our village. I should warn you, stranger. Here in Gilded Vale, we have a special place for dissidents, charlatans, and those who would hide a curse in our midst.
He steps to the side and inclines his head ever so slightly towards the deformed tree.
His lordship's wife is with child and due any day now. Without his approval, I shan't be able to find you a permanent settlement. It will have to wait until after the birth. We can continue our interview then, after the bell tolls from Radric's hold to signal my lord's new heir. In the meantime, you can find temporary accommodations at the inn just southwest of here.
I've been feeling strange ever since a close call with a Buick. Is there someone in town who could help?
Whatever your problem, it sounds like a matter for an animancer. However, the only animancer in Gilded Vale isn't in any condition to speak. Consider yourself fortunate. After she failed Lord Radric, we saw to it that she wouldn't profit from the misplaced trust of others. A bad cure is often worse than none at all. But if you're set on finding a bottle of troll piss or a dead Audra pebble to rub on your forehead, you're welcome to check her pockets. A little corpse stink is nothing when you're digging for shit. My advice, however, is to be satisfied that you escaped and leave it at that.
You said something before about Hollowborn and Widewind's legacy? He blinks. I forgot that you foreigners do not have this curse in your homelands. The Hollowborn have been a scourge upon the Deerwood for almost 15 years now. He lowers his voice to a whisper. Children born without souls. He shakes his head. Pitiful dumb things that can breathe, barely, but do not truly live. Some say the Hollowborn are disease. Some say they are a punishment from the gods. He raises his empty hands. In truth, no one knows, but they began spreading after the Saints' War, and so the name Widewind's legacy stuck in honor of that foul, blasphemous pretender. His voice shakes with vitriol. I can't remember if he said that already. Cool. I wonder if I want to tell him this, considering they're hanging people. Alright, goodbye.
Keep out of...
Listen!
2 tolls. Let that be the last.
3. Gods have mercy.
It seems your arrival is ill-timed. 3 bells toll only for the death of a Radric. I fear Lord Radric's heir is lost, or else Hollowborn, and so lost all the same. You should tread carefully. Circumstances have changed a great deal.
What happened? He shrugs one bony shoulder. I will know more details when the messengers arrive. The vagaries of childbirth, perhaps, but that is not your concern. What do you mean? You come to us at a time of mourning. The legacy has struck the heart of Gilded Vale. Our efforts to redeem ourselves in the eyes of Bareth must be redoubled. He sets a steady gaze upon you. Does this affect the Lord's offer to new settlers? I can be sure of nothing right now. I advise you to get some rest. The inn, or a stable for all I care. Find me afterwards. I will know more soon enough. All right, farewell. Master advised me to get some rest. All right.
It's usually best to leave the beginning of the game for last. So this area was designed in the advanced stages of development. The idea here was to convey a rundown, bleak farmer's town that suffers from the iron rule of a local warlord. Redrick is the name, whose hall lies nearby, and it's also its own adventure area. Here in Gilded Vale, it was important to give a glimpse of how bad things really were in this world right away. So I made sure to design the layout in such a way that the tree with the hanging bodies became one of the first things to appear in view when you first arrived to town. Another important buildings to introduce you included an inn, because you need an inn somewhere at the start of an RPG, that's just expected. Places to shop and tinker, like the blacksmith and the mill, and also places that would illuminate background history, like the ruins of the Elthasian temple, which figures in the general narrative that we constructed in the area's quests and characters.
Were you looking for someone in that tree? I could introduce you.
Strange way to talk about your dead. He looks up at the tree and breathes out. Half the town's up there now. Seems like no right way to talk about it. I'm looking for someone who can help me feel better. He gives an understanding nod as he takes in a long drag from his pipe. My condolences. He exhales and turns his attention away, watching the village around him. All right. Well, I guess better head to the inn. Whew, look at that. Experience for just exploring the area. You see 4 people gathered by the door to the inn. Their raised voices and chopped gestures suggest an argument reaching its climax. The first figure raises his hand for calm. His face is partially obscured by a hood, but his height and stature suggest an elf.
I meant no offense. Let's put this matter to rest over a round, shall we? My treat.
Hoping to soothe our pride with a few Adira coppers, eh? We don't need your coin.
Everyone calm down. Whatever this is about, I'm sure it's an overreaction. One of the other men glares at the hooded elf. His eyes are red from drink, but his gaze is focused. We're humble folk, but we're no fools. Not like he thinks mocking us while he shelters in our village. We don't take that kind of talk from foreigners, especially not Adirans.
Go on. Say it again. I'm itching for an excuse.
Fie, you're itching for the kindling touch of your sister, you cocksfeather!
I'll cut that barrel-licking tongue out of your head.
This is a misunderstanding. I didn't say whatever it is you think I said. We've nigh quarrel.
That's where you're wrong.
I don't think attacking him is such a good idea. The 3 drunks scowl at you. And why is that? If someone's baiting you as obviously as he is, it's generally wisest to walk away. They look at each other. One of the men gives the other 2 a warning shake of his head before turning to you. We're done for now, but this one better watch his step around here, because we're not going anywhere. With a final scowl at the elf, he turns to leave. As the 3 stumble away, the elf turns to you, the tension almost gone from his smooth face.
Not quite how I hoped to get to know the neighbors. Thank you for your timely assistance with that awkward situation.
You mean for making them piss their pants? You're welcome.
Well, that is one way of putting it.
He straightens his hood, and you note the remains of fraying embroidery on his gloves. His boots are caked with dirt of many months' travel, but the leatherwork beneath it is sturdy and fine.
Well, I suppose introductions are in order after that little fiasco. Aloth Corvisor, at your service.
How did you manage to get stuck out here? He laughs uncomfortably. That is something of a long story.
Well, I'm a wizard by training, and an adventurer by necessity. I was born in the Seathwood, part of the mainland of the Adir Empire, and both of my parents served the nobility, which afforded me an education for which I am grateful. However, there were no open positions in those houses, and so I decided to seek new means in a new land.
I love RPGs because people are just so open about their backstories sometimes. Seathwood, Adir Empire, those are all good pieces of lore that we're learning from him right now.
And how exactly did you come to be here?
I was traveling with a caravan, but we were separated near some ruins.
In Gwithan ruins? Oh, those can be dangerous places during the best of times, which these are not. In half the locals would arrest you for trespassing and the rest would kill you outright. I'm curious, what exactly did you find there?
If you listen to my podcast, that sounded familiar. Biowac.
And you survived? I've heard such a thing was impossible. But it seems you either have a knack for timing or the favor of the gods.
Just how did you manage to cross those 3 drunks?
I'm afraid that was a matter of misunderstandings and mistranslations. It doesn't help that people in these parts remember their war with Adir like it was yesterday.
I see. Well, what are you doing in Gilded Vale?
An excellent question. I came looking for fresh air and cheap land. Instead, the magistrate gave me directions to the inn and a story about the local lord's expectant wife. But I take it that's a familiar tale.
Like I said, I'm also a settler.
Indeed. In that case, welcome to Gilded Vale, a true refuge from civilization.
I should get going.
As should I, given recent events. It's just as well. I've had enough of the watered wine and lumpy beds at the inn. They say even the owner tired of the place. Just up and left one day. It explains quite a lot about the upkeep. Perhaps I could join you. I could use a change of scenery, and I find it's better to travel in numbers.
So do I. Let's go then.
Excellent. I shall follow you.
Da-da-da. I have gained the companion, Aloth Corficer. It is Corficer, right? Oh man, I really hope I didn't mess that up. People will eat me alive if I do. Yeah. This is, if you go into, where is it down here? The character, you can press the C button. It brings up your party and all the records and stuff that you need to know about them. Aloth is a 2nd level wizard, because I'm also 2nd level. They match up where you are. Wood Elf, background from the Adir in the Gentry. These are his statistical breakdowns. This is his skill breakdowns, some of the active abilities, and spells that he has. I will be able to control him in combat, just like Kalisha and Hayden. So these are all good to know what all of his stats are if you're going to play the game.
Indeed.
What is it?
All right, this is the inn, I suppose. The windows are clouded with a haze of accumulated smoke and cooking grease. All right. Let's go talk to the lady at the bar, see if she can...
There's a couple of jokes in here about the inn's previous owner having disappeared, you might note, and that grew out of our never hearing back from the inn backer. It's all meant in good fun, of course. I had a little poster in my office of the old promo art for Baldur's Gate 3, and while we were thinking of names for this place, I started using the Black Hound as a placeholder, thinking that it wouldn't stick. It ended up getting the thumbs up, and Josh Sawyer asked Art to implement the poster image as a stained glass window on the lower floor. The dog upstairs actually came later. Once we started assigning locations to the various pets, the placement for the black dog seemed fairly obvious.
Cool.
Gods keep you.
The innkeeper bows her head curtly. Please, sit where you like. Would you like a drink or a room? We have 2 available at the moment. I'm afraid we can't offer much by the way of a good meal today. She sighs. Unless you're fond of cold porridge. You serve only cold porridge? Aloth looks at you and shakes his head quickly. It isn't by choice, I assure you. We used to serve some of the finest meals in Deerwood. We've had a damnable run of luck, is all. It's been a bad season for the crops, and we're running low on supplies. I sent Tinfrith up north to stock up. Tinfrith's our cook, you see, an artist with a good roast. But it's been days since he was supposed to return, and we haven't seen any sign of him. She sighs again. I've only just taken over from the last owner myself. I don't know what I'll do if he doesn't turn up. I could try to find him for you. Really? Her face brightens. I'd be grateful to you if you did. He was traveling through the Valewood. It's probably nothing. A broken wheel, maybe? But I do worry. You might remember that we ran into a broken carriage up there? So it might be up there somewhere. You see him safely home, and I think everyone here would sing your praises. Nobody much likes my porridge. Well, I'd like a room, please. Of course, we keep them nice and tidy. Alright, so this is, yes, we know all about the inns. So these are the available rooms that you have. If you have enough copper pieces, you can buy one of these rooms, and they give you these benefits: perception, mechanics, and resolve. I, however, am a stickler, so we're going to go with the common room for 0 copper. Yes, sitting by the warm fire. Your sleep is restless and fevered, assaulted by hisses and whispers, blanketed with a suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken and find yourself in front of the Gilded Vale's gallows tree, the creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman whose face has shriveled inward like a moldering fruit. Her head hangs limply on one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind until she is mere inches from your face. Ugh. Suddenly her head snaps up and her eyes open, and they are empty. Behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts, and with a gust of rancid air she speaks a word. Watcher. You jolt awake, the foul smell of the dwarf woman's breath still permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face in thick droplets, and your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. He called her an animancer. Though it fills you with a new, queasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see this woman once more, if only to confirm she is truly dead. All right. Well, let's head up over towards the tree here. Look at that. Look at that right up there. Okay. Well, I think this is a good place to call this particular play. We've escaped from the ruins, the Ingwithan ruins of Cilant Lis, and we went through the Valewood, finally reaching the Gilded Vale, where we learned about the Hollowborn crisis and rested after gaining a new companion on the road, Aloth. After a dream or vision of some woman hanging in a tree, we're going to go investigate whether or not this woman is truly dead. There appears to be something going on with her, so yeah, that's what we'll do in the next episode. One other thing that I want to do at the end of an episode. At the start of the episodes, I was saying we should go into the encyclopedia and check out some lore of some things. For the end of an episode, if I have gained any, they would be in here, I think. If I have gained any lore books, I would like to read through them with you guys. But we didn't gain any, so we're not going to read it today. So if that's not your thing, don't worry about it. I'm just going to put these in the stash for now. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining me on episode 2 of this Let's Play through Pillars of Eternity. I hope you're starting to understand a little bit more about the world of Eora and also gain some questions, perhaps. As we play through the game, a lot of your questions will be answered, but feel free to send me an email or reach me on Twitter with any questions. My email is worldofaeora@gmail.com, or you can reach me on Twitter @worldofaeora. Thank you guys for joining me on today's episode of Playing Through Pillars of Eternity 1. I will see you guys next time. Blah, 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 loading screen, loading screen.